The national interest this week looks at a major debating point in today's politics. Now we know that with the end of the Rajya Sabha terms of Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, MJ Akbar and Syed Zafar Islam, Narendra Modi's BJP will be left without any Muslim in both houses of parliament. Read this with the following. So number one, in both the 2014 and 2019 elections, the Modi-Shah BJP won full Lok Sabha majorities without any of their 7 and 6 Muslim candidates respectively winning. 7 in 2014 and 6 in 2019. This while 20 crore Muslims live in India, 14% of India, or 1 in 7. 1 in 7 Indians is a Muslim. In Uttar Pradesh in 2017 and 2022, the Modi-Shah Yogi BJP, I said earlier Modi-Shah BJP, now Modi-Shah Yogi BJP, won humongous majorities without fielding any Muslim candidate. Muslims are about 20% of Uttar Pradesh's population, or 1 in 5. In Assam, the Modi-Shah Himanta BJP, I said first the Modi-Shah BJP, second the Modi-Shah Yogi BJP, and now the Modi-Shah Himanta BJP. It won 2 majorities in 2016 and 2021. It fielded 17 Muslim candidates in the 2 elections combined, but only one of those won in 2016. 1 in 3 of Assam's population are Muslim. And I am not going into the details of West Bengal, but if you look at West Bengal, there also almost 1 in 3 are Muslims. But BJP still became the second largest party, pushing aside the Congress and left decisively, and got nearly half of the parliament seats, 18 out of 42 in 2019, and also did quite well in the state assembly. Did not get power, but did quite well. Next point, it is that rare juncture in our history when a Muslim sits on no constitutional chair in New Delhi. There is one governor, Arif Muhammad Khan, in Kerala. Nor does a Muslim hold a position in the 76-member Council of Ministers. No Muslim is a chief minister anywhere in the country. Of the 87 secretaries in the central government, only 2 are Muslim. Let's list the 3 stakeholders there who are affected by this. BJP is the first because it's the least affected by this exclusion of Muslims from the entire power and political structure. Ranking at number 2 are India's Muslims. And at 3, most hurt is Indian democracy. And I will explain to you how. The BJP, for example, could easily take the couldn't care less attitude and tell the Muslims, you do not vote for us, it's okay, it's a free country, enough of the others do. You no longer decide who rules India. Why do we say that? Because that's what BJP leaders often said in the pre-Modi era. I heard it for the first time from former BJP MP and now quite a prominent talking head, Balbir Punj, the day after Atal Bihari Vajpayee's NDA government was defeated by 1 solitary vote in April 1999. The Muslims, he said ruefully, have a veto on who rules India. Because the logic was that no party which has any expectation of getting the Muslim vote or which is campaigning for the Muslim vote would ever even join a coalition with the BJP. Now that situation has changed now with BJP getting a full majority. Now between Modi's mass appeal and Shah's electoral smarts, they have ended that. How? We've discussed often, which is simply by targeting 50% of all Hindu vote, let Muslims etc. vote wherever they do. If 50% of the Hindus vote for us, we are through. So reunite with religion was what caste divided. Just because the BJP no longer needs Muslim votes, it doesn't mean they do not want them living safely and prospering here. They don't want them to leave India and go away to Pakistan or someplace, or Bangladesh or someplace. They just want them to do so on their terms, on the BJP's terms. What are these? I'm making some educated guesswork here. Ideologically, the BJP and RSS admire Israel's approach to nation building. If Israel can be a Zionist republic, a democracy, and yet accommodate its nearly 20% population of mostly Muslim Arabs, actually just about 1/10 of these, or about 2%, are Christian. If they can accommodate them as near equal citizens, that is the one expression I'd like to underline, near equal citizens. India can similarly be a predominantly Hindu nation with the 14% Muslims similarly, quote unquote, accommodated. Because if Israel, a Zionist republic, can accommodate 20% Muslim Arabs, why can't India accommodate 14% Muslims? See, in the only nation where Arab Muslims can live as a minority and freely vote is the Zionist republic called Israel. Name another Arab country whose people can elect a real government. So they should say thank you to Israel because you are safe, free to live with your dignity, educate your children, do business and get rich. Pray as you wish, just don't ask for a share in power. That's the Israel approach. Ideologically, the Hindu political right will see this as a perfect solution. Israel's idiosyncratic proportionate system that we have talked about sometimes in our Cut the Clutter. Israel's idiosyncratic proportionate system of elections does sometimes give the Arab parties a foot in the door, as at present. At present, in the ruling coalition, the Arab list has a bunch of seats, but again, the bargaining power they have is all limited to getting the Israeli government to spend a bit more money, allocate a bit more money to colonies and villages where they live no more. In India, first past the post system can continue giving BJP easy majorities in spite of the Muslims. Beyond that, all welfare will reach them fairly, which is sabka saath, sabka vikas. So what are you complaining about? It's this hyphenated equality. You are nearly equal. That's the hyphen. It's this hyphenated equality that would be on offer to the Muslims in the perfect world of the BJP and RSS. It would imply that India is predominantly a Hindu nation and follows secular governance only because of that or predominantly because of that. Where does it leave India's Muslims? It leaves India's Muslims alienated, othered, as if they are other people, angry, nearly disenfranchised. Now, I know that when I say this, many people protest, saying, how can you say disenfranchised? They have the vote. But you know, today their vote no longer counts. Segregation, loss of power, and a feeling that they might still live safely in India if only at the sufferance of its Hindu majority. That's humiliating. That's not a good feeling. This anger has erupted in protests against the Citizenship Amendment Act, for example. In the southwestern coastal region, it is morphing into something angrier. Led by the Popular Front of India, its political unit, the STPI or Social Democratic Party of India, and its student wing, Campus Front of India. It manifested in the hijab protests, but we might as well brace for something more dire going forward. As Dr. Manmohan Singh had said at his press conference in the run-up to the 2009 election campaign in New Delhi's Constitution Club, he said, if even 1% of India's Muslims come to the conclusion that they have no future in India, the country might become ungovernable. This was a dire warning. If the BJP has unchallenged power today, as it seems now, do they want 1 in 7 Indians alienated only because of their faith? Does it suit the BJP? Does it make governance easier? At the very least, this would make for a very imperfect Indian democracy. A sizable correction is called for. The question is, who will make that correction? Who will do it and how? Let's look at the options. First, the hope or the so-called hope from international pressure. There was some excitement when the Gulf Arab states pushed back over Nupur Sharma. How sensitive Narendra Modi is to friendly Muslim countries, that showed in his immediate damage control. But no outside powers, no Washington, Riyadh, Abu Dhabi, Tehran, Brussels as EU's capital, or London have leverage over the Modi government except on rare episodic basis. Release so and so, don't do this, this was blasphemous, etc. etc. Modi and the BJP could easily take a cynical view that the Gulf states don't particularly care what anybody does to their own Muslims. Look at China with Uyghurs, Russia with Chechens, as long as you understand the no-go areas, the Prophet and the Quran. See how barely a fortnight after the protests over Nupur Sharma, the ruler of UAE received Narendra Modi at the airport with a big hug and a smile, and then the I2U2 summit where UAE joined the US, India and Israel in unveiling a new strategic grouping. Therefore, the Modi-Shah BJP may not see the need for a big course correction. They are not so hassled by the current equation in national politics. There is no compulsion on them to make a change or a shift. Of course, we might be reminded of a childhood friend called Abbas as much as LK Advani would point to the Muslim driver of his wrath when asked if he was anti-Muslim. Now, if the BJP has no incentive to make corrections, who would make it do those corrections? It can't be done by outraging on social, domestic or foreign media. The courts won't do it today. Let's be realistic. You can't and must not try doing it by dragging young Muslims into protests that ruin lives and careers and their families. It can't also be done by articulate new Muslim leaders like Asaduddin Owaisi, who'd get applause but few Hindu votes. It won't happen even if some divine power banished our polarizing TV news channels. It's a political reality and it's a political challenge that only a pan-national political force can take on. Before we discuss how this could be done, we must list 3 prerequisites. What are these 3 prerequisites? Number 1, first, an acceptance that no shift is possible unless you convince the Hindus of India, the Hindu majority, that they need it, that it's important for them. Second, you can't begin the new secular age by blaming or mocking the Hindus or by normalizing Aurangzeb or even Ghazni. Third, dump the fallacy that we lived in the perfect secular world until 2014. Remember that when in 2005, Congress-led UPA set up the Sachar committee to examine the plight of the Muslims, India had been under the rule of the Congress or coalitions backed by the Congress for 49 years out of 58 since independence. The committee gave a report so damning, UPA itself buried it. UPA did nothing. Now, to comfort Muslims, Congress repealed POTA, that is Prevention of Terrorism Act. This was also a demand of the prospective allies of UPA. But Congress instead, in place of POTA, produced UAPA with its amendments. It is so stringent that Muslim victims might be nostalgic for POTA now. Once we accept that India didn't leave a perfect world behind in 2014, that just the inclusion of the word secular in the preamble of the Constitution by an illegitimate emergency parliament in its 6th year with opposition in jails did not cast Hindu-Muslim unity or secularism on a rock face. We can think of the future, because before you start treating yourself of a disease, you first have to accept the diagnosis. The BJP's ideological rivals or prospective rivals must first accept that their missteps, hypocrisy and cynicism allowed the BJP to ride polarization to successive majorities. Only when you embrace all of these 3 realities can a new political challenge be designed. How can it be done? Who can do it? What indications are given to us? What directions are shown to us by our constitution, our culture, our politics, our history? That will show us some way forward, which I will discuss in next week's National Interest.